If you have a camper shell or a tonneau cover, odds are you're trying to protect whatever's in there, so you need to have access to it. When you put that stuff on your truck, there's not a whole lot of light in there. So what we're gonna be doing today is showing you what we did with our camper shell, and we're using the TecNiq Premium Slim LED strip. This is gonna be great just to get a lot of light into the bed of your truck now that we don't have as much light as we did before, just so we can find our stuff a lot easier. Whether you just want some specific light in a specific section of the bed of your truck, or you just kind of want to illuminate the whole entire thing, which is what we did today. We have a lot of different sizes. So we go from really small all the way up to 60 inches. So we definitely have all the sizes you need. And there are two different types. So you can either have the one that's only going to have wires coming out the one side. But if you do plan on putting multiple of these in there, maybe you're trying to completely line your whole entire truck bed, you can grab these. So we can wire them all in unison so we don't have so many wires underneath the bed of the truck powering every single one individually. So if you have a camper shell like this, or maybe even just a tonneau cover, this is gonna illuminate a lot inside the bed of your truck, so you can go through a couple different totes, get what you need, and be able to actually see. We do have a lot of different types, so we can get the really small ones if you really just need one area to be isolated to get lit up. So this one's gonna be about 7 inches long, but then we can get some longer ones. So we can go with the longer one like this, and there's gonna be two different versions of each length. So one is gonna have 2 wires coming off of each side, and then there's another one that just has it on one side. So if you do plan on putting multiple lights in here, you can wire them in a series as long as you have proper power going to them. So you don't have to run a power and ground to every single one. I kind of like that because it's going to be a little bit cleaner wiring underneath. But we are going to get some larger ones as well. So whatever size you think is going to be best for your application, definitely go ahead and grab the one that's going to be best. Right now we have the 47.5 inch long one up on the top, and it's pretty much the perfect length for a camper shell. We do have a 60 inch one, which is just going to be a little bit longer. So just depending on where you're putting it, we have a size for you. So a lot of the times I need something in the bed of my truck. I usually keep it in totes, but I usually just have to take my phone light out, and I really only have one hand to grab whatever I need. I usually just keep a lot of my tools in here, but this is what the phone light does. It's going to take up a hand, and it's not that bright. But with that, even with just one strip, I have pretty much full visibility. Like, even if I had this tote in the very, very back over here, and I had to grab it, like, I can still see in there easily. So I think it's a mix between this being kind of white, so it really does reflect a lot, but the difference between just one strip being installed is crazy. So if you put another one on the other side, it's going to light up everything, and you will not have an issue finding anything in the bed of your truck. For a storage compartment on an RV, I think one of these would just be totally fine, depending on where you put it. But when you're gonna put it in the bed of your truck, I think maybe 4 of these 7 inch ones will be the most optimal. Just put 2 on the back here and then 2 more up front, and then you'll have light from every single angle. Stepping up to the 11 inch long strip, I would say you only need 2 for the inside of the bed of your truck. For sure. I think just having 2 right back here will be plenty for lighting up the spot. And again, I think these would be a good size for maybe some of the longer storage compartments you may have in your RV or camper. I love LED strips. You can literally put them anywhere. So not only can you put them in the bed of your truck with a tonneau cover or a camper shell, you would definitely put some of these maybe around your boat, maybe around your storage compartments in your RVs, or even just use them for accent lighting. I really like whenever I go into these RVs that come through and they got all this cool little accent lights where you can't really see the LEDs, but you can see the glow. So I think it would be great for storage compartments, and especially that cool little underglow that you get on the inside of your RVs. So literally whatever kind of idea you have with these, as long as you have proper power ran to it, you can find a lot of different applications to use these LEDs. So I really do think these are gonna give you the cleanest look out of any of them, and these aren't gonna be for your edges and stuff. We do not wanna bend these really, because it will eventually crack or just stop working altogether. And we can't really cut these to length. So there are other ones on our website that doesn't come with this hard case that you can bend around. So if you wanted to maybe kind of go with the curves of the camper shell just by going on the sides like this, or even if you just wanted to completely go all the way around it just with one single strip, we do have 17 and 16 foot ones that aren't in a case, and they do have a little bit of backing on them that's going to allow it to stick, but it's not really the best. But we can show you right now. If you see right here, that's what they look like. So we actually took a 17-foot strip and we actually were able to cut it too. So we bought one thing, cut it, and now we actually have some on all three of our sides. So let me disconnect these and show you. These are going to be blue, but they do come in white as well. But just to give you an idea what we can do with one roll, we'll show you. So these are the blue ones, and it is putting a lot of light in here, but that's with 3 different strips. If this was all white strips, it would be extremely bright on the inside of here. The reason why we went with blue in this specific situation, the customer does a lot of hunting and stuff, and your eyes will adjust to the blue a little bit easier. So depending on your application, you can pick your color, but the white is definitely going to help you find stuff a lot more. It's going to be like the normal light you see. With the blue, it illuminates it, but it's easier on your eyes if you're in darker situations, if you're hunting or something like that. The hard case LED strip does not come in blue, but if you don't mind getting the soft strips, I wanted to show you the difference between white and blue, just so you know. So if you are deciding between the two, you can figure out which one you think you like better. So here's the blue. And here's the white. After installing these, I do really have an idea of what would really work for you guys. So if you have a camper shell, even if it's an 8-foot bed, I really do think that the 47.5s are going to be plenty to light it up. If you wanted it to be maybe a little bit longer, the 60 inches is going to be a little bit bigger, but I think that extra little foot is going to be a little bit of overkill, because just with one side on a 6.5-foot bed with a 47.5-inch long strip, I basically can see everything I want, but I want it to be kind of universal, meaning symmetrical. So I want to have a light on this side if I have a light on that side. So if you do have a camper shell like this, I think anything just having one on each side, 47.5 and up, is definitely going to be okay. If you really don't need the whole entire place to be completely illuminated like this, some of the smaller ones, even if you just put one of the 11 inches here and another one back here, that'll do good. If you do have a tonneau cover, you could do the longer ones, but just note, I don't think you're gonna grab one that's too small and it's not gonna give you enough light. There's so much light coming off of this. Hopefully it shows up in the video, but I think you'll be good. Just depends on what kind of style and look you're going for. I really do like the casing on these. If you have a spot for them, it's gonna look the cleanest, I think. And comparing these to the soft little rolls of LED strips that you can get, a lot of those are just they just have a little sticky part on the back, and usually that isn't the best. So if you go to your local hardware store, just use some of that glue that you can get there to install the normal strips. But if I were to put something in the bed of my truck, I would definitely go with this. It looks a lot better and it feels a lot more durable. The clips that connect to this light to hold them into place, super sturdy. So I actually used 4 for the 47.5-inch strip, and it is super solid. It is made of metal, so that's what I like. So whenever you are putting them on, you have to use a decent amount of force to click them in. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of what your options are and how much light really comes off of just a little bit of LEDs. So if you want to stick around, we're going to show you how we got everything installed. So if you're in a camper shell like this, or you're just installing it in the bed of your truck for underneath your tonneau cover, we are going to have to figure out where we're going to mount this. So we do have some mounts here at eTrailer that are not included with the kit, but you have some options, so let's go over them. So one, if we have a place that we want to put them and we don't really need an angle or anything like that, what we can do is we can use these parallel mounts. So these right here, what they mean by parallel is we're going to screw these in, we're going to put these on like that, And so whatever surface we mount these to, it's gonna be completely straight. So if we wanted something completely straight like this, that would work. But for this application, I don't think I'm going to use these just because I do want a little bit of angle going down. So we can not use these, but these will be nice for other situations. So let's put those to the side. And we have two other ones. So we can do the 90 degree right here. As you can see, this will fit in and we'll screw this in. So this is a little bit closer to what I'm wanting. You just gotta snap it on there. So with this, the way it's set up, I'm actually gonna end up just using these screws right here just so I don't have to put more screws in. But obviously this is gonna be facing up. So if you want indirect light, this would be really good. But if we swap this around, we can also get light coming straight down. But as of right now, this is really gonna be shining mainly on this little section. I kinda need it up at like a 45 degree angle to kind of illuminate the cab. So that comes into our third little mount. So we can take this one off, just like that. And our third little mount is gonna be that 45 degree angle I was looking for. So we have all those different choices. And this one right here, little 45 degree. This is gonna be the one that we're really wanting to use. So snaps on the same, just like that. And the nice thing about this is too, it will be able to slide. So you don't really have to worry about putting it exactly where you want right now. So I'm gonna use it right about here. And so when we do mount this up, you can either have it facing up or we can have it facing down like this, which is exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm going with the 45s, but you can get the 90 or the parallels. So I really want it to be in line with this because we are going to compare them to just the strips that we have here. So use this one perfectly lined up, and then I'm going to want it to be facing down. So go like this, kind of just get that one into the channel and then pull this in. You got to push the other side in and it'll snap into place. That's pretty much where we want it. So I'm gonna go ahead and use 4 of these for this whole entire strip. So I am gonna use this existing hole right here, just so I don't have to put any other holes in my camper shell. So just get one channel in and then snap the other side just like that. And that's exactly where I'm wanting it. So we'll just take this one off. Use whatever socket works. But if you do plan on just mounting these in just a random hole, you will have to provide your own hardware, but this way we don't have to. All right, so we got this, and then we can tighten it up. That's pretty solid. I am going to use this little two-way extension just because this is how the customer had it set up before. This way, if we want to take off the camper shell, the lights and everything will stay with it, and the wires coming from our truck powering everything is going to stay with the truck. So that's what we're wanting to do. So grab one of these, and we are going to need to cut them. It doesn't really matter which side because either way they're going to work depending on either side. So you don't really have to worry about that. Let's do that now. Gonna go ahead and cut it. I want to give me as much room as I can, probably right around here. Cut that off and do what you want with the excess. Find a way to strip these back. I use this fancy little tool, super easy, but you can also just do this with your pliers or whatever. You just want to get a decent amount off and twist them together. And the ones on the light end are actually already twisted together, so we don't have to do that. And you will need some heat shrink butt connectors. We don't really plan on a lot of water getting in here, hopefully none, but these are the best way to get the best connection. So we want to hook up So our white on this, I'm gonna make this ground, which means it's gonna go to black on the other end. Always match by function and not color. Crimp this down. I'll do the same exact thing for the other one. Now that that's done, we do want to make sure that it's going to work. So plug it in and flip the switch and we're good. So now we can go ahead and just heat these up since we know the connection's good. We already had a connection in the vehicle that we were just connecting to, but that's most likely not going to be the case for you. So what I suggest doing is just grab a 12 gauge wire like this and run it from the battery and run it on the inside of your frame rails. Usually there's a nice spot for you to channel that in to where it's not really in the way of anything. And then what you can do is we can take that power wire and hook it up to a switch, and then however many lights that you have, you can, on the other side of the switch, distribute that power wire to the rest of your lights. So for every single light, you are going to want to get your own ground. So that's what we did. We basically have a power wire going from the battery, coming in, and it's distributing to all of our lights via switch. And then right here, we just went down and we did get our ground from the frame. Don't use the bed of the truck, use the frame, just because that's how the bed is connected to the truck via frame. It's going to be your best ground. And that'll do it for a look at the TecNiq Premium Slim LED strips.